me. And I kept thinking when the band got really good and when we got to be a real rock band that could really play with anybody, I said, now let's twist it and take it in our direction. And I kept remembering Hell's a Poppin'. So anything could happen on the Alice Cooper stage, and nobody could say it didn't belong because, you know, it was cleverly designed to do what the lyrics were doing. And then something might happen in the middle of that song that you think doesn't belong there, but in the end it does. You know, it's hard to explain, but directing the show, I have to think about 20 different things at once. But when you see it, then you go, oh, it all connects up. It all works.
Do you think this visual element that you're talking about is still a primary force in rock music today, or is it kind of an art form that's dying off a little bit? As you know, we have a lot of groups kind of embracing maybe more of a simplistic approach, or maybe being a little more introspective or introverted rather than kind of being these eccentric, loud, kind of in-your-face characters, provocateurs in a way.
You know, that's what rock is missing right now, are the rock stars. There's just no more rock stars out there. I mean, when we were starting, it was Alice, Elton, Bowie, T-Rex, Jagger. When you saw that person, you got what he was about, because there was a swagger about it. There was a little bit of a, there's a sexual swagger about it also. And it's rock and roll. It's outlaw. It's got some outlaw involved in it. The bands I see today are just pablum. You know, I mean, they go up there and they say, oh, I hate the way oil is, and the environment is bad. And I'm going, I don't care. You know, I said, I want to hear about your girlfriend. You know, I mean, because almost every single rock song that was a hit is about a guy's girlfriend or her writing about her boyfriend, and it's usually the most interesting stuff. You know, because I really don't want anybody preaching to me about anything. You know, I never preach about anything in my songs. I just kind of bring up the absurdity of the situation and let people, you know, fall where it may. But again, you know, I see bands now and I go, why don't they want to be rock stars? Why does a 17-year-old guy want to look like every other 17-year-old guy in the mall? Oh, I got brown shoes on and I got these pants and a flannel shirt. Yay. I got a beard. I have a beard. And you go, well, that's great. Here's a quarter. You know, I mean, rock stars, Black Veil Brides were about the last band that really had an image, that jumped up there on stage with an image, and when they walked in a room, you went, oh, Black Veil Brides. You know, I just think rock needs that. Rock needs to, and I think there will be a resurgence of it. I think the 80s was too much fun to not have a resurgence of. You'll probably see, invest in spandex, okay, and hairspray, because it's coming back.
What's your take, or what are your thoughts on the whole idea of sort of, you know, not just going up there and being a provocateur, but blatantly going on stage, and you've done this in the past as well, but to phase people, shock people in a way. You know, you referenced Black Veil Brides, but in my opinion, one of the last great shock rockers was Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
And since then, you know, there hasn't really sort of been somebody who's demanded the media's attention quite like him. And, you know, is that just as a result of people not wanting to go out there and take that risk, or has the music audience, has the rock audience basically seen everything at this point and we can't be shocked by anything?
I think that we pretend to be shocked. I don't think we can. I've talked to Zombie about this, and I've talked to Marilyn about this and everything, and it's at a point now where you can't really outshock CNN. You know? Well, it's really true. In the 70s, I would go on stage and they would cut my head off and it would splatter and the head would roll off and it would look really good, and the parents would hate me, you know, and the establishment hated everything about Alice Cooper and everything like that. And it was easy to shock an audience because it was urban legend. There was no internet. So a 5-foot snake became a 15-foot snake overnight, you know. And all of the things that Alice did got blown so far out of proportion that it was really fun, you know, to hear about. All the bands were blown out of proportion. But now you turn on CNN and there's a guy really getting his head cut off. You know, that to me is shocking. So you really can't outshock CNN. I mean, Lady Gaga with the meat dress. I told her on our show we would have had you on a spit barbecuing you, and the audience would come up and just eat the dress off of you. That's a great idea. But Gaga was great. Gaga, we had a lot more in common than maybe me and anybody else out there. She created a character. She wrote songs for that character, and then she produced a show around that character. That's exactly what I did with Alice Cooper. There were 10,000 Peter Pans and no Captain Hook, and I said, well, I'll gladly be Captain Hook, and wrote all the songs around that character so that he could be the ultimate rock villain. And to this day, people still want me to be that character. And, I love playing it. But, I mean, shock rock, don't know if you can really shock the audience anymore.
Before we go on, I want to thank our guests, Unkit, Victorian, and Sue, for coming on and asking their questions. We're going to depart from them right now, so thanks, guys. Thanks for being on.
By the way, Russian fans, you have to understand this now. When we first went to Russia, I think after the wall came down, those are the real fans. If somebody caught them with our albums, they were going to the gulag, right? So when I first went to Russia, these kids would all come in, they'd show me their albums, and I would go, so you were actually defying the law to listen to our music, and you could have gone to jail. Yeah. And I went, that's a real fan.
I still have one of your vinyl also made from USSR.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
I want to say I still have one vinyl which was made in USSR.
Oh, well, it's amazing, just the civil disobedience of the fact that you couldn't listen to a rock album, because it was going to upset the government, and they defied that, and they said, no, we're going to listen to the Stones, we're going to listen to Bowie, we're going to listen to Alice. That was pretty amazing. I thought the Russian public was pretty cool for that.
All right, thanks again, guys, for being on.
Thank you.
And that's the end of them. I just went to the gulag just now.
Well,
sorry,
off
busting
that,
them like that. It was awesome.
Saying that there's still some places on the earth today where rock records are still taboo. Rock records could still get you in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. Muslim countries probably you would be in trouble. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. And also, I had actually read a piece recently where it's still pretty taboo for some people in Russia, considering that there is a Christian right sort of sect over there, that doesn't take too kindly to rock music. What's your sort of take on that right now, as far as the state of rock sort of being prevented from sort of entering into some places because those taboos still exist?
It's so odd to be a Christian and to be Alice Cooper, and at the same time, I don't really find a problem with that spiritually, and I don't find a problem with that in the Bible. I think he gave me this talent to do this and expects me to do the best I can with it. I think the relationship between you and Jesus Christ is that's what Christianity is. It's not a big building where a bunch of people sit around and make rules. That's not what Christianity is. Christianity is a one-on-one relationship. And so I struggled with it for a while because I really didn't know where I belonged in this. And then I realized that was the talent I was given. So do my best with it, and if solid rock came out of that, then that's what it was for, to help kids out. Good. I'm all over that. I've got 3 kids myself and 2 grandkids now. I got twin boys, 2 years old. Their name is Falcon and Riot, and they live up to it. One Falcon stands 2 years old with his legs apart with a guitar, Pete Townsend style, with his diapers on. And I go, where did you learn that? And the other one plays drums on everything. So, got a band going there, right there.
I only asked this question because it's right around the corner. But can you please tell us what a typical Halloween is in the Cooper household? And please leave out no details, however many animals are sacrificed, how many candles are lit, what incantations are recited, please, no details about that.
It's, we all stand around the Halloween tree and burn it down. It's amazing what people think goes on in the Alice Cooper house. We're probably more Ozzie and Harriet than Ozzie and Sharon. The thing that makes the Alice Cooper house so weird is how straight we are. Everything is drilled kind of like almost 50s. And yet everybody in my household is fairly insane. I mean, on a different level, where my daughter is an improv comedian. My son has a band called Co-op, which is a great, great band. My youngest daughter is a makeup artist. And everybody has their own insanity. And it's truly insane. They all have the same very dark sense of humor, though. Things that you would never laugh at, they can't stand. They have to laugh at it. Nobody ever comes to our house at Halloween, which is weird.
Fear?
I think they're afraid of my mom. My mom is like, she's 91, and she's probably right now cleaning the garage or painting the house or something. Toughest old bird on the planet. And but I'm usually on tour. When my kids were growing up, I took them out trick-or-treating. I remember one Halloween, I took them out trick-or-treating, and I said, I'll show you what trick-or-treating is about. First of all, it's about getting all the candy you could possibly get. When we were kids in Detroit, you would take 2 shopping bags, and you would fill one up with candy, and then you would fill the other one up. And of course, you had to give the candy over to mom and dad so they could dole it out. Well, you hid the other one. And the stash was somewhere else, And it was nothing about anything evil or anything like that. It was all about the candy. Okay. And I was Zorro. I was always Zorro. I just felt that I was Zorro. And if you see the stage show, I still have my sword on stage that I'm very good at. Errol Flynn's sword, by the way. And, but Halloween at our house, I would take the kids out. And I remember it was about 1985. And I dressed up like Michael Myers from Halloween, right? And the kids would go up, and I'd just stand there, like this. And the kids would leave, and the parents would stand there, and I'd just stand there. And I had a little tape recorder in my pocket, and it would go dun 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 dun. And the guy would, wave and close the door. And then you'd see him look out the window and I'd still be standing there. That's Halloween, come on.
That's also fear, too, because sometimes it's not scary what you do, but how little you do.
Well, and not only that, but if they would have taken the mask off, then it's Alice Cooper. That's even scarier. Take the Alice Cooper mask off and it's, somebody else. One of the strangest Halloweens I ever went to was, before I was married, I took Linda Blair to see The Exorcist. Linda Blair the movie had just come out, and we went to see The Exorcist in Los Angeles. And we're sitting there, and this was the time when The Exorcist was so scared, people were throwing up and passing out, and it was really, truly, still probably the scariest movie of all time. And the guy in front of us is talking. And I tap him on the shoulder, and he turns around, he goes, oh my gosh, Alice Cooper. And then he looks at her and he goes, oh! It's Reagan, I said, can you spin your head around just once? Just please, just spin your head around and pea soup all over this guy. But that was really fun to go to see The Exorcist with Linda Blair. She's going, oh, this part was so funny.
Let's take it to current day, and let me ask you, sir, what do you have planned for the rest of this act of your career that you're in the midst of? I know you're doing a lot of touring and a lot of performing, but are you planning anytime soon on following up the Welcome to My Nightmare sequel with another album, or is there new music coming down the pipe or anything like that?
I just talked to Bob Ezra 10 minutes ago. We're we're working on a new album right now. Bob did all of our big albums and everything. And we're writing for the new album. And of course, we're writing for the Vampires. You know, Vampires are going to do another album, I think, but it'll be all, instead of being all covers. The original Vampires idea was to pay salute to all of our dead drunk friends. You know, because we used to drink with Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and John Lennon and Keith Moon. When we started listing the guys that we used to drink with and they were all gone, I said, let's put a band together and just tip our hat to that, to those guys. And we had a drinking club called the Hollywood Vampires at the Rainbow Room. That's where Lemmy, you know, took residence up in. And so Johnny says, yeah, great idea. Now, by the way, Johnny Depp is a killer guitar player. Yeah. Joe Perry takes lessons from Johnny. Okay? I give you an idea how good Johnny is. And he would much rather be on a rock and roll stage than in front of a camera. He started out as being a guitar player that became an actor. And when we were doing Dark Shadows, I mean, all he did was play guitar between, you know, takes and everything. And so we did the whole tour together. Joe Perry walked in and said, I'm in. Duff McKagan, I'm in. You know, so we had Guns N' Roses, Aerosmith, Alice Cooper, Johnny Depp, and the band was great. So I'm hoping that we do another album. It would be fun to do another album of live, stuff, new material.
And moving on from there, would you, maybe before I sort of get out of this interview portion of the talk that we're having here, maybe grace us with one of the most wild war stories that you can tell us from back in the day, from your days on the road?
Oh, man, you know. Name a
I know
day.
there are a lot.
Name a day. There was just, there's so many. I can tell you, the very first time we finally got a gig was at the Whiskey A Go-Go. When you finally get a gig, at the Whiskey, you're from Phoenix, and you're in LA, and every band from every city is trying to get that gig to get into the Whiskey A Go-Go, because the Doors are the headliners there, And so finally, we drive up in there, and it says Alice Cooper. And I went, who's Led Zeppelin? Nobody had ever heard of Led Zeppelin. They were a brand new band, and they had never heard of us. And when we got there, they showed up, and I looked at Jimmy Page, and I went, that guy was in the Yardbirds. I said, we open for you. And we opened for them, and then the next night they said, no, we open for you. So it was like a nice trade-off. We stayed friends ever since that. The very next night, we go to play a club called the Cheetah Club. And it says, Alice Cooper. Who's Pink Floyd? Some guy named Pink Floyd. He must dress all in pink, and his name is Floyd the Barber or something. I don't know. And we ended up being, of course, best friends. They ran out of money and moved in with us. So now you've got Alice Cooper and Pink Floyd living in a house in Venice. And Sid Barrett is so out of his mind. I'd wake up in the morning, walk into the kitchen, and he'd be sitting there, and there'd be a box of cornflakes there, and he'd be going, I guess the cornflakes were dancing for him or something, and I'd say, how you doing, Sid? He'd go, great. Look at this. I go, what? It's a cornflakes box. He was
totally sober.
Yeah,
totally
but
sober.
Killer guitar player. Amazing guitar player. And that was just 2 days. That was just two, random days back in those days. But you remember, all the bands were trying to make it. So everybody knew everybody. Everybody kind of supported everybody. And whoever, Spirit was another band that was around at that time. They were called Spirits Rebellious then. All these bands that are huge bands now were all just garage bands trying to get a gig.
All right, moving on from there, we right now are going to get into a little fan art, because we've got a fan art contest going on right now. We have 3 submissions, and you're going to be picking the winner. So I hope you've got your art critic hat on right now.
I hate
is that your art critic jacket? I don't know.
All right,
so here we go.
I'm ready.
All right, our first submission here. Now I'm just gonna give you a heads up. You may be a little biased toward this one, because I know it is all about sort of a favorite pastime of yours, but is your head sort of depicted in the midst of a golf ball.
You know, I always
you're crossed.
I always said if I ever got on the PGA, I would go full Alice. If I was playing Tiger Woods and I was at full Alice, you know, and I could shoot 67 every day, I would be full Alice out there. That
So
never
there we
happens.
go. Again, that's the first one.
Okay.
Your head depicted.
Got it.
Golf ball.
Got it?
There you go. This one's a little more morbid and dark, the way you like it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But we have you depicted in a diamond. You're like an undead character. Your ribs are showing. Skeleton hands around your head. You got like an Uncle Sam hat too over here. You're rocking an Uncle Sam hat.
That actually looks like me. Okay, that's great.
There you go. And this final one over here is a more of a logo type. We have a skull over here with your name on it, your name right below it. We go with the eye makeup.
Yeah.
Streak down the head.
Well,
So
I
you
can
know.
tell you right now who the graphic artist is. In number 2. Number 2 is that person's got talent. That's really well done because you're playing the black against white. You're playing the negative against the positive there, and everything centers. When you look at a piece of art, where does it center you? It centers you right on the eyes in this one, and that's basically what we always do with the Alice Cooper thing. The eyes are sort of the center of the whole show. So that one wins by far. It almost looks like a San Francisco poster from from the Fillmore.
Get Alice this person's contact info. Not only have they won, but obviously they'll be doing the next album cover or something, right?
Yeah, right. I'm still
Not
better
to-
than that guy. Come on. But that is good. I like that. It's very well done. It's balanced. The hands balance it out. Really well done.
All right. I think that has been our discussion over here, unless the people at Skype want me to extend it any further.
All right, don't speak
Okay.
all at once.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
Thank you for no math questions, okay? Because that would have been
So
embarrassing.
your art has won. Alice has hand chosen your art.
Amazing, thank you. It's good news. It's an honor.
Well, you don't know what comes with it.
Would you like to throw a question at Alice about his album art or his artistic aesthetic or anything like that?
I guess what was it that drew you to my entry?
Well, I'm looking at it as a composition. It's totally composed so that everything goes to the middle. And I don't know if you do that on purpose, but when you're learning technical art, that's exactly what you're supposed to do right there with that.
Yeah.
And it's certainly not. It's not you flowing with your artistic thing. It would be a great poster. That would be a great poster.
Yeah.
For
it's,
probably Slim Right or something, some diet drink.
tying things into a shape, I guess. I mean, I'd seen a few other images of yours that used like a triangle frame, and I just kind of threw it into a diamond shape.
Yeah, you're right. That's right. Yeah, you caught that exactly right. We did that.
Yeah.
Very well done.
You want to get another question into Alice while you have him on the on Skype?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I mean, what kind of colours did you think for the T-shirt? Just like black and white, or?
There was a play on Broadway, Dracula on Broadway.
Yeah.
And what they did was a very smart thing. Everything was black and white, except one little thing of red. Every scene, there was one little thing of red, just one little spot. And it drew your attention because it might have been just like a handkerchief in a guy's, or it might have been a rose, or it was just maybe one little drip of blood in Frank Langella's mouth right here. But the idea of using, that could use one small something of blood, or red somewhere, maybe a lipstick kiss somewhere.
Oh yeah. We can work that in for sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Dramatic.
Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, Thanks for picking me. Nice to meet you, Alice.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, Alice, thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Well, thank you. That's great. When are they going to perfect this so, like, at any point, like, your face starts melting? That would be a great special effect if you're talking and you don't realize that your face is melting in front of everybody.
That would be like it was like a Snapchat filter and they applied it to Skype. If they started doing some Skype filters where, you know, your face was melting or you turned into a skeleton while you were in the midst of a Skype conversation, that'd be really sick.
That is actually really good. That's, you know, they do that now with, you know, within the phone where you can make a guy's head different shapes and everything. It'd be great with Skype if you could actually, you could do it to the person though. You're sitting talking to him, and you really don't want to be talking to him, and all of a sudden you just make sure another head grows out of his shoulder or something.
Yeah, or you draw on their head and write all sorts of rude remarks.
It's a
or
great
whatever,
idea.
Sort of like, get out of here.
Whoever does that's going to make a fortune, so whoever in here has that knowledge, do it.
But you better copyright it right now. I mean, you just thought it up. So
I have enough projects, I don't need that one.
It's okay. It's been documented here, so you know, people will know that you came up with the idea first.
Good.
All right, again, my guest has been Alice Cooper. It's been great talking to you, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of this, brother.
Oh, it was fun.
This is great. Guys, tomorrow night, he's in town at the Keller. Who's in
Oh,
there?
man. Hurricane Nita Strauss is our newest member. She's a 28-year-old female guitar player. She was in a band called what do they call it? Iron Maidens. And she's a shredder. This girl shreds. She looks like a model who plays like, you know, Jimi Hendrix. Ryan Roxy on guitar. Tommy Hendrickson on guitar. Chuck Garrett, who played with, Ryan was with Slash for a while. Chuck Garrett played with Dio. And Glenn Sobel, who just got voted #1 drummer in rock and roll. So, and then my wife plays a bunch of really insane parts in the show. She plays this rag doll that comes to life out of the toy box. Does a really beautiful ballet during Only Women Bleed, and then I kill her.
Well, she's been dancing with you since the 70s.
She was 18 when she was in Welcome to My Nightmare, and she dances better now. She's better now than she was then. And then she also plays this really demented nurse, this sort of Day of the Dead nurse. I used to be the scariest thing on stage until my wife decided to be in the show. And she is unbelievable. I'm afraid to look at her in the show. And then she plays the scariest character. She plays Hillary. We have a little Hillary and Trump at the end of the show. And at the end of this, you'll see why you should vote for me.
Twisted? Yeah. You better
Very twisted, yeah.
And you were saying how she... Oh, my goodness. I've just kind of brain farted right there. I'm so sorry. A part of the show... you know what? I'm not even going to worry about that right now.
Yeah, and let's just say this. The show starts in 4th gear and stays there. It's 25 songs, and it just... There's one ballad in the whole thing. Everything else is just hard rock.
I remember now.
Nurse Rosetta? Is that
Nurse Rosetta.
Is that what
She plays Nurse Rosetta, but she goes beyond Nurse Rosetta.
All right.
She goes into another dimension of sick.
Well, going back to that album, too, can I just ask you one question? Did Millie and Billy exist?
Yeah. When I went into the hospital for alcohol, I went into what I thought was like a Betty Ford clinic. But it was this place where really rich people went in order not to go to jail for being criminally insane.
Oh, wow.
So after about a week, and I finally sobered up and I could like kind of clearly look around, I started realizing that I was the only one in there for any abuse. Everybody else was in there for like chopping up their uncle and putting him in a bag and sending him to, you know. And so Millie and Billy were in there, Jackknife Johnny, and I'll tell you a great story. I'll leave you with this story. There's an old man in there, and I don't know how long he'd been in there. We're both in our robes, you know, and it's the very last day, you know, that I'm going to be in there. And he goes, Alice, tomorrow, he says, you're going to go home. He says, and you're going to see your wife, and you're going to start your career up again. He says, and he said, I really, really am proud of you. Well, thank you, man. He says, and someday I'm going to get out of here.
and when I do, I'm gonna kill you. And I went, thanks, Joe. I gotta go now. And he was just like that, and I went, okay.
Well, guys, give it up. We got Alice Cooper. Make America sick again, right? Hey, guys, we're going to get a picture with everybody standing up.
Back here.
Certainly. Feel free to tag yourself when the picture comes out. Get the light. Get the picture back here. Get the light. Get the lights. All right, everybody. All right, everybody in? Ready? 3, 2.
Everybody in?
All right. You one more? Ready? Cheese.
Wait till they find out I don't show up on.
Yeah, film right now. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, Bill, that's you.
Come back with me.
Yep, that's me. I still got it.
Thanks for being a part of what we did this afternoon, guys. Don't forget, Sketch.com. We've got the Sketchlight Studio right there on the website. Can't also we do this quite often. Of course, not with rock and roll legends like that all the time, but we do have a lot of fun. We'd love to see you back again.